Mexico. Scheduled for 10 rounds, Herrera was expected to start well, but was badly cut in the second round. He was behind on points after that. He's recovered pretty well from the cut as we join it in round 7.
Duke Mckenzie of Croydon, the European flyweight champion, 24, in white, against the former world champion Juan Herrera of Mexico. Mckenzie signed professional in 1982 with his manager Mickey Duff, and Mickey took him to America in the early days of his professional career and gave him a few fights out there. I can remember meeting this young man at breakfast one morning in Las Vegas when I was over there for some somewhat important fight, and who should be sitting next to me at the breakfast bar but this young man. And he was enjoying himself out in the States, and he had a few fights out there and of course won them all. This has turned out to be a quite severe test for Mckenzie. He's breathing hard and still being forced back occasionally by this tough Mexican, who may be past his best, but he's still strong and capable. Herrera fights like an old pro, with lots of ducking and weaving and movement of the shoulders, letting punches slip over his shoulders, past his ears, and always ready to come back and hammer a few punches home if he can. Mckenzie's got a little bit of trouble with the mouth too. He's losing some blood from the mouth. Another stumble. That's the second time Herrera's tripped over. And he's complaining to the referee that he had Mckenzie's head in his face, and that caused the stumble. Well, they have been a remarkable fighting family, the Mckenzies. The Duke here lives in Thornton Heath, not far from the Streatham pub, which Brother Clinton now runs. The Park Tavern. Denny Mancini right in front of him, working with the grease on the forehead. And Mickey Duff, as usual, doing all the talking.
Just a bit. Boxing position.
3 rounds remaining then of this international flyweight contest between Duke Mckenzie, the former British champion, now champion of Europe, Mckenzie in white, and the former world champion, Juan Herrera from Mexico. One low one there from Mckenzie. And Herrera, who's 29, is sensing that the closing stages are at hand, is pepping up the pace. Can afford to expend a bit of energy now. Pacing yourself is one of the most vital things in boxing. When you know you may have to go 10 rounds, you've got to pace yourself over 10, or else. Mckenzie's been 10 rounds a couple of times, and of course he's been 12 rounds in defence of his European flyweight title. But I think it's right to say that Mckenzie's beginning to look just a little tired.
Lay on, Mckenzie.
And I think it's going to take a considerable amount of determination and willpower here from Mckenzie to try to keep the pressure on Herrera. The man is 5 years older than he is. Using a little bit of shoulder there, Duke, but he gets away with it.
Get back. Stop pulling his hand down.
Oh, he got a caution for something similar.
Oh, don't lay on, Mckenzie. Right. Get back.
Round 8 of a very grueling fight. Mckenzie's had to work for every point. And Mckenzie's determination and courage here is being fully tested. He's absolutely got to stick to this. And Herrera showing no signs of slackening with 2 rounds still to go. So this is likely to be very, very interesting over the last couple of rounds, because this man is still dangerous, despite the fact that he was cut in a very nasty place, which they're working on now, very early on in this fight. But the brilliance of the corner work has been such that we've hardly noticed the injury since. See for yourself the sort of battle-worn features this man has, but still a useful fighter. Mckenzie still relatively unmarked, but tired, I'm certain of that. It would be surprising if he weren't. Mckenzie getting his jab to work. Mckenzie's left hand has always been a key punch in this fight, and he really does need to keep it going. It's the punch with which he can keep Herrera away and possibly open up more damage on that right eye. And he has done that, actually, because the eye is beginning to bleed again.
Right, step back. Stop laying on.
Mckenzie getting the caution for leaning on his man.
Lay on, Mckenzie. Head, Mckenzie, keep it out. Come on, snap him out.
Well, one says it so often that it really is a cliche, but these Mexicans, they are tough little battlers, and they don't go over with a breath of wind.
Step back. Come on, you got him on the go. Come on, back him up, back him up.
The raucous voice of Mickey Duff says, come on, you've got him on the go, back him up. Well, the pair of them now really feeling this. There's still one round left after this.
Play on Mckenzie. Break! Step back.
But if Mckenzie is going to have a world title fight in the near future, this is good experience, and certainly it will give him an idea of the sort of stamina he's going to need. Good right. He pushed the right across a few times, and Herrera, to his credit, has taken it so well. There have been no knockdowns. A good round for Mckenzie, that. And, well, there can't be any argument that he's a long, long way ahead on points. But at the same time, you know that he's been in a hard fight. He, above all, will know that. Well, again, he produced a cracking right hand here just at this moment. There it is. Brought it across beautifully to the head of Herrera. So it's been a competent performance by Mckenzie, and perhaps having been out of the ring for so long since March, it's the sort of test he needed to get him back in and to remind him that this game is not easy, and if you are going to try to take a world title, then you really have got to be superbly fit, and you've got to be prepared to go through rough patches, and you've got to keep your determination going right to the finish. So the 10th and final round now coming up. It's been a great little flyweight contest here in the Grand Hall at Wembley between Duke Mckenzie, the unbeaten European flyweight champion wearing the white trunks, and the former world champion, the WBA flyweight champion of the early 80s, Juan Herrera from Mexico. Cracking little fight, and Mckenzie has had to work hard for everything he's got. Left hand fell low, and Herrera's still the one coming forward, you'll notice. Now Duke has got a hold on here. Herrera now possibly at his most dangerous at any time. He won his world title all those years ago by outlasting his man, and won it in the later stages. Mckenzie now advancing and keeping his boxing nicely together. Still looking for the right hand. Mckenzie trying to whip another good right across. At this stage, I would have thought that Mckenzie really just needs to keep his man at bay, keep him at long range if he can. No need for heroics at this stage. He must be a long way ahead. Big attack by Mckenzie in the closing minute. thumb shield has come out. So he has to fight the last few seconds without it. Closing moments of a good fight. And that's a good performance by Duke Mckenzie, who gets his arm lifted instantly by Mickey Van, the referee. And that's a good 10-round points win to go down in the record of Duke Mckenzie against the former world champion, Juan Herrera. And Mckenzie comes out successfully for his 18th win in 18 professional fights.
Points victory that keeps Mckenzie